Good evening, everyone. Let's see what there is to talk about today from the wonderful world of boxing. In fact, you know what? Before we have a look at all the stories, I've not even spoken about the fact that Katie Taylor is fighting this weekend. Katie Taylor is fighting. She's fighting Gutierrez, isn't it? I've not had a look. I can't lie to you, I've not had a look at the card. The only thing that reminded me of the fact that Katie Taylor is fighting this weekend is I saw something. I can't remember what I saw. That's it. I saw that it's free on YouTube. Congratulations to Sky. So you can stream this whole card on YouTube. So you don't need a Sky Sports subscription. And I think that is massive. I think it's, look, if you want to push female boxing, and Eddie Hearn clearly wants to try and push it now, don't put it behind a paid wall. Like, let everyone see it for free. Let everyone see what all the fuss is about. So this is big. This is big. Let's quickly look at the actual fight card. I haven't checked it. 2 secs. I know Terry Harper's fighting, right? And Rachel Ball is fighting. All right, let's have a look. Okay, so you got Cash Farouk. He's fighting Angel Viez. Yeah, okay, cool. Thomas Whitaker. He's 4-0. He's an unbeaten. He's taken on Jermaine Springer. Never heard of Jermaine Springer. Jack Doherty versus Jack Cullen. Sorry, John Doherty versus Jack Cullen. Decent little super middleweight, scrap that. Rachel Ball is taking on Georgelina. What's his name? Guanini? Guanini, that is correct. Yeah, remember that's for the vacant WBO bantamweight strap. I like Rachel Ball. I really do. So let's see what she can do. Terry Harper taking on Katarina Van Ders. So this is for the WBC super featherweight strap and the IBO super featherweight strap. And Katie Taylor defending all her belts against Miriam Gutierrez. I just like the fact that the fight's been headlined by females. I know some people aren't too overly pleased with it, but look, if you're trying to grow the female sport, this is what Eddie Hearn's got to do. You've got to do it. You really have to. You can't be afraid of doing it. We've seen how the sport has grown in mixed martial arts, and that's just because Dana White's like, you know what, we can put female cards onto headline. And they've headlined in front of some big named male fighters. And they've done good numbers. Like Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holm in Australia was in front of something like 60,000 people and done nearly 1 million pay-per-view buys. And even the co-main event was another title fight, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I can't remember who she fought. But again, so you had a main and a co-main, and it done well. No one complained. So I think the more you do it, it will grow on people. But what they do need to start doing is getting really competitive fights. So there's no point putting females onto headline and the fights aren't competitive. Like if any of these fights are duds, then unfortunately, you know how people are. They're going to complain and it's going to receive a backlash and it might not ever happen again. So let's hope that these fights are good. I was speaking to Savannah Marshall today. I had her on my show and she was talking about the Clarissa Shields fight. And that's the fight she wants. And, you know, it's a big fight. She actually said it's the biggest female fight ever. Now, look, I'm not a female boxing historian, but it is a big fight. It really is. Especially because you've got two girls that done very well as amateurs. I don't know if everyone knows Savannah Marshall's record as an amateur, but World Championship gold medalist, Commonwealth Games gold medalist. She got a medal in the European Games as well. And we know Clarissa Shields, obviously, and her amateur record, twice Olympic gold medalist. So like they're both being an amateur pedigree. Savannah Marshall's the last person to beat Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields can sell a fight. Savannah Marshall can punch, right? So it's a good fight. So that needs to get a card. So you almost need a card that's going to be real good. Say, for example, if Cecilia Brækhus gets her belts back. So you get a kind of catchweight fight between Cecilia and Katie Taylor. And then the main event is Clarissa versus Savannah. That's what you want for female boxing. That'd be good. That'd be very, very good. So look, yeah, I don't know how to do scores on the doors because I don't know many of these girls. I can't lie to you. And they need to start doing 3-minute rounds as well, by the way. These 10 2-minute round crap or 2-minute round fights, I'm not a fan of. But yeah, no point me doing scores on the doors because I don't know too many of them. But let's just hope that it will be a good card. All right, let's jump into some of the stories now. What's this one? Fury. Wilder will never get a shot at me for what he said. Fury's actually on TalkSport tomorrow. His promoter Frank Warren came on today and obviously announced that he's going to fight Agit Kabayel December 5th. That it's on TalkSport as well. I do that just at the hope that one day I might be involved in one of these things. But yeah, Wilder will never get a shot at me for what he said. I don't know if it comes down to that. It might be a case of, even if it, and we know now that Shelley Finkel's talking about a legal route. I think he's talked about mediation between both partners. They want this fight to happen and they think that they have a leg to stand on. So even if it gets to the stage where legally Tyson Fury doesn't have a leg to stand on, he might just vacate the WBC. That's how much he might not want to fight Wilder now. He might say, you know what, no, fuck it. What you've said, you're not getting the opportunity. And that's a big blow for Wilder. People might say, yeah, if he vacates, fine, Wilder fights for the vacant title. At this stage, it's not really about the belts, it's about the money. So Wilder can fight for a vacant title, but who against? Is it a big fight? Is it financially rewarding? Won't be as much as Tyson Fury. That's a fact. So I don't know. I've seen a lot of people say, yeah, the third fight will happen because of legal issues. Again, if Tyson Fury vacates and Wilder just gets the belt, then I don't know what I'm trying to say is I don't know if Fury is legally obligated to fight Wilder regardless of the belt, if that makes any sense. Does it have to be Fury and the WBC belt, or can Fury just say, fuck it, I don't want to fight you, take the belt? Like I don't know about the ins and outs of the contract, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few months. I have a feeling, personally, that we will see Wilder Fury 3. And I have a feeling that we'll see it sometime in the spring. I think Fury will make easy work of Kabayel, and then we'll get to see Fury versus Wilder. I really do. I think that's going to happen. And all of a sudden, it's a big fight now. Because of what Wilder said, boxing's such a weird sport, but because of what Wilder said, all the negativity, it's got a bit of juice to it, hasn't it? Let's be honest, people. I wasn't interested, like many of you, for Wilder Fury 3. Now, all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, sign me up. Sign me up. So, look, I think we are going to see Fury Wilder 3. That means there is a very, very good chance that if Joshua gets past Pulev, we might see Joshua Usyk. We might. Look, Usyk's already said that he is not going to take step-aside money and not going to allow Joshua to fight Fury, right? He wants his shot at the belt. I initially thought that AJ would vacate. I still kind of do believe that. And Usyk will fight either Parker or Dubois for a vacant belt. But if Fury's going to fight Wilder, then I don't know. I don't know if Joshua wants to sit on the shelf and wait. He might want to fight. He might want to prove people wrong and keep his titles. He might want to do that. Look, we're rolling the dice here a bit. But if, and again, big if Fury comes through Wilder for a third time and Joshua somehow comes through Pulev and Usyk, right? I mean, how big is Fury Joshua? I mean, it's massive. But look, ideally, I think I'd rather see just Fury Joshua just get it on. Like, throw the belts away. I don't care about belts. Just get it on. Just get it on. I think we all accept that whoever wins that fight is the number one. I think we can all accept as well now that that is number one versus number two. So it will be interesting to see what happens in the next 4 or 5 months. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. Sorry, I feel like I rattled on there. Apologies. What's this? Top Rank President. Our job as a promoter is to make Terence Crawford as big as possible. He clearly is big in Omaha, Nebraska. Right? You know, I think some people who maybe don't realize how big he is over there might think, oh, well, you've not done enough, right? He's not a superstar. He is big over there, but he's not as big as he should be for being an unbeaten free-weight world champion. I actually think that's down to Terence Crawford as well. I don't think Terence Crawford shows enough of his personality. When you catch Terence Crawford slipping, like when he doesn't know he's being filmed or when he's with his homies, Terence Crawford's a different person. When he's being filmed and it's a proper interview, like a proper sit-down interview, Terence Crawford's quite boring. He's quite dull. I remember watching the interviews with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman in the lead-up to that fight with Amir Khan. Boring as hell. And he doesn't help himself. I mean, you can only promote someone as much as you can. If they don't want to talk and they don't want to sell themselves, I mean, This isn't WWE wrestling. You can't just make it up. So I think Top Rank might just be doing his best job they can. Terence doesn't help himself. A bit more on Terence Crawford here. He says, if the Spence fight doesn't happen, I don't feel like it will hurt my legacy. It won't hurt your legacy if you fight others. But if you don't fight others, like right now, Cavi Velasquez, Amir Khan, Benavidez, Kell Brook, that's not enough. That's not enough. You need to be fighting the other guys. So it won't hurt his legacy if he gets other fights. But if he doesn't get these other fights that we're talking about, so the Furmans, the Porters, you know, even a Pac-Man fight that I know he's still keen on, then it will hurt his legacy. Right? The best have to fight the best. And if Errol Spence looks fantastic, back to the best Errol Spence I've seen, the one against Kell Brook, if we see that Errol Spence against Danny Garcia and Terence destroys Kell and that fight still doesn't happen, then, oh man, jeez, I'll be so angry, because right now, you know what I mean, we're at a stage where it kind of needs to happen. It'd be good if it does happen. What's this? Pulev's manager, Joshua has weaknesses, not the complete package. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I mean, Joshua is an elite athlete. Don't get me wrong, he's a supreme athlete, but there are some weaknesses. I think Joshua would even admit that to himself. I think that's why he's always in the gym. That's why he's always working, because there are things that he needs to fix. But he's very, very good. Let's not underestimate how good he is. He's a very good fighter, but there are weaknesses. I mean, I saw that when I was watching even the second Andy Ruiz fight. I still saw things there, but his mindset is now stronger. I think it could almost be a good thing that he knows he can lose now. So he isn't as reckless as he might have been in the before. Because I think you watch Joshua fights before and he is a bit reckless because he knows he's so much stronger and powerful than other fighters. But now he knows if he does get touched, he does go down. So I think we are going to see a more complete Joshua now. I think defensively he's going to be a lot better just because he knows there's frailties there, right? There clearly is, but I expect him to wipe the floor with Pulev. If he doesn't, then I don't know. Promoter not confident Povetkin will be ready by the 30th of January date for Dillian White. That's interesting. Yeah, it's a shame if that is the case. I mean, I actually like the fact that this has been delayed slightly. I wasn't too much of a fan of Dillian White coming back so quick. Again, he fought in August, was trying to come back in November. I thought, you know what, no, chill out a little bit. So hopefully he's dialed down the training and he's just relaxing now and then can go again after Christmas. Look, if it's not Povetkin, then there will be options out there. There just will be. I mean, he could fight the winner, and I don't know about this cross promotion, so who knows, but he could fight the winner of Dubois Joyce. I think he's a bit above that personally, but if the money's right, you never know. I mean, the Chisora rematch will be there, or Trilogy fight will be there. And then there is a lot of talk about Hrgovic versus Hunter. Either one of those guys can fight Dillian White. So there's so many big money fights in the heavyweight division. So I don't think Dillian White will be losing sleepless nights if Povetkin isn't ready. I think the only thing that annoys him is that obviously he wants that fight to try and get revenge. And sometimes you need to avenge it mentally to move on. So he might not be right until he gets that fight again. Shakur Stevenson, Toka Khan, Clary set for ESPN main event. Toka Khan. Why do I know that name? Toka Khan. That's the guy that fought Kid Galahad. I don't even need to check that actually. That is the guy that fought Kid Galahad and Kid Galahad beat him. I think he's lost a couple of times. What is going on with Kid Galahad? Like, boy, is he going to fight? Is he scheduled to fight in any of these upcoming cards? I hope he is. Be good to see him fight rather than say static. Rosado, always static between me and Jacobs. The fight just had to happen. Rosado is one of those fighters rare in boxing. Chisora's one, Rosado's the other, where a loss for some reason doesn't seem to set him back massively. Like, he's still a biggish name, is Gabriel Rosado. Like, really and truly, if you look at his record, you'll be like, why is Danny Jacobs fighting a guy that's lost? I'm guessing he's lost 10 times. Let's have a look, quick look. I should know this, sorry. 2 secs. 12 times. Jeez. So you would say, why is Danny, there would be uproar as to why Danny Jacobs, who is an elite boxer, is fighting a guy that's lost 12 times. But Rosado seems to get away with it. I don't know why. Maybe because he's losing to a lot of the top guys. And it's quite similar to Chisora. Like, Chisora gets away with just having losses. Like, for example, Chisora got beat by Usyk and it wasn't even really competitive. But as soon as Chisora put his name forward for Dillian White, everyone's like, yeah, I'll see that. I'd want to watch it. And you're like, well, you just lost. Chisora seems to get away with it as well. But it's good. That's how it should be, right? A loss shouldn't end your career. But these guys, credit to them, are both making great money and both have like double-digit losses. Incredible. That really isn't how boxing is, but they are obviously rewriting the script. A bit here about Fury and Wilder. Mediation in an attempt to force a third fight. That's Shelley Finkel saying that. You can read this article on Boxing Scene. It's a bit long. I'm not going to read all of that. I don't know if you guys know about this, but Ortiz, Luis Ortiz, when he had his fight against Flores, I just read that Flores' purse has been withheld. I don't know if you guys saw the stoppage on that, but did look a bit dubious. It looked as though Ortiz just tapped into the body. It wasn't a clean shot, and that was that. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. I mean, you don't want to see a boxer's purse withheld, but I don't know. We'll see. Brooke on Khan's support. I spoke about this the other day. He's saying, I don't know what to say. Always has something up his sleeve. No doubt, if Brooke does pull it off, will he pull it off? I don't know. Don't think so. But if he does, no doubt Khan will want that fight then at 147, right? A world title shot. This is quite big, right? And like Virgil Ortiz has inked an advisory agreement with MTK Global. Not many, I don't think too many American fighters have inked deals with MTK Global. Obviously, we know about the European ones, especially the British guys over here, right? They've got some massive names, but not really Americans. I can only think of Jamal Herring being another one. I'm sure there's others, but that's quite big. That's interesting that Virgil Ortiz has gone that way. It shows how big MTK are coming, right? They're massive now. What else have we got here? This is interesting, and people have been laughing about it, and I don't find it quite funny, unless he's talking about recreational drugs. But Mike Tyson confesses to using a prosthetic penis with child's urine to pass drug tests. So I've got to quickly go into this story because hopefully we're just talking about but recreational drugs are a lot better than PEDs. But to be honest, fucking hell, let's be honest, back then, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from that. What are we talking about here? Is it recreational? Does it say? Okay, it doesn't really go into it. But Tyson, that he's never tested positive for PEDs, but he also obviously speaks about the fact that he's done a lot of cocaine, a lot of weed. So you'd hope that it's that, right? You don't want to think that Tyson just openly admits it's a bloody performance-enhancing drug and we all laugh and shit, because that'd be ridiculous. Bear in mind though as well, supposedly there is VADA testing for his fight against Roy Jones Jr. Okay, this is interesting. Dillian White and David Haye have started to have, I've not even had a bit of the amber nectar before it gets cold. Ah, green tea, that, lovely. Oh, I got some great green tea the other day by, who sent it to me? Tea of Armani, I think it was. Armani spelled A-M-A-N-I. Beautiful. Love it. This isn't that. This is just Twinings. That's crap compared to what I got before. So if you're listening, Tea of Armani, please send me some again. All right, Dillian White says, David Haye conned his way through his boxing career. These guys have had their way of words. I think it's when David Haye said something about it wasn't a lucky punch from Povetkin, and I think they've had their issues. Anyway, David Haye didn't con his way through his career. Look, David Haye was a great salesman. I agreed. But I'm not having that he conned his way. David Haye had some good wins, man. I mean, that Enzo Maccarinelli win, that was the best David Haye I've ever seen. That David Haye was just fast, big, strong, everything. Literally ticked every single box. The Haye against John Mark Mormek showed guts to get up off the crowd away from home and beat Mormek, who had, a couple of belts back then. Yes, it wasn't electric at heavyweight, but he didn't con his way at cruiserweight. I think at heavyweight, look, the Klitschko thing is always going to be remembered for that toe excuse, which was poor, even though it was true, but it was poor. I don't think he beat Valuev. Like, score that round for round, he didn't win that fight, if I'm honest with you. Monty Barrett was an okay performance. Maybe he put like Monty Barrett down like 6 times, but Monty Barrett put him down as well, you know, go and watch the fight. Ruiz was done. That was his last fight. So I get his journey at heavyweight hasn't been great, especially when he came back and fought those 2 guys. That was pathetic. But as a cruiserweight, we've got to put a bit of respect on that name. Teofimo Lopez on future foes. I'm king. What do they bring to the table? You know what? He's chirping. He deserves to chirp. He deserves to chirp. I'm sorry. He fought Loma and beat him. He can chirp. Like, he was chirping a lot before the fight. And I was like, if you lose, didn't lose, won. Chirp as much as you want. You rolled the dice, took the risk. You deserve all the plaudits for it. How disappointing, by the way, is the fact that Luke Campbell versus Ryan Garcia is off because Luke Campbell has tested positive for COVID. So disappointing. Let's hope the fight can be rescheduled. Eddie Hearn's talked about December. Let's see. Luke Campbell's in good spirits. It's not like he's ill like a Povetkin, so he has to chill out and rest. He's got it. He tested positive for it, but he's okay. So let's hope that fight can be rearranged. Final thing here. Josh Taylor. I'll take a Crawford fight tomorrow. I could beat him. It's quite interesting, this Josh Taylor thing with Crawford, because, look, they're both on Top Rank, so it's a fight that can be made, but it's a fight that no one seems to be even talking about. Like, normally, when a guy does good work at 140 or a weight class below, you'd want to see him go up and challenge the guy above, but no one is even mentioning the likes of Josh Taylor going up to 147. It's almost like, no. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because they want to see him clean up against Ramirez, but there isn't the hype I thought there would have been for a Josh. Like, no one talks about Josh Taylor versus anyone at 147. Yet most people have him as the man, number 1 at 140. A guy that's done very well at 140 as well. Strange. Have a good night, people. Peace.